Checking, check. Checking, check. Good Saturday morning to you. Welcome to Rise and Rewind, presented by the Swanton Welding Company, along with Tory, Strock. I am Lynn, Groll. Coach, good to have you here with us on a Saturday morning as we get the coffee club in shape here this morning. Got them straightened out, heard some stories, and that's why we're running a little bit behind, but we're ready to roll. And you were a little lathered up, too. I had to hear a story from you because our studio desk up here is a little sticky, and we know the culprits. And we warned them a week ago, and they didn't listen to us, did they?
They didn't, and there will be repercussions. Lynn, there's a lot of little things that irk me in this world, but if my work area has grease spots or sticky spots or whatever that I didn't create, which I never do, I come unraveled, and I walk in this morning and I can tell someone was eating here last night at the tailgate, and I saw who it was. I saw what they were eating. They had greasy French fries and chicken strips and things like that. And I'm sitting there thinking at Defiance last night, if I walk in there tomorrow and there's any remnants on my space, I'm going to snap. And by golly, there was.
Yeah, there was, and it was the person you talked about that ran that family we talked about a week ago, right?
The one that wears the pants and her boyfriend, and so there will be repercussions. Not going to say what they are, okay? But and then Louis gets me worked up and talking to Carl Carter about the state of football in not only Northwest Ohio and beyond, and so I need to get my bearings about it.
I do too. I feel like I'm a little off right now this
morning.
Start
with your win over Elida last week. You got to be playing with a little more confidence, Coach.
Now
That's all right.
Smacked a button there with my my microphone cord, and
I like that technology.
Had that going as well. So we're not off to a great start here.
Well, I thought you were maybe going to play an interview from last night.
No, that was Coach Rittenauer's interview from last night, but I accidentally my cord from my headset hit the button that was connected to, and we heard a little bit from Coach Ritt there.
I want to say a good morning to our friend and supporter, Chip Holbert. He's on his way to Thomas More College to watch the Tiffin Dragons. If I remember right from college, Crestview Hills, Kentucky.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And
they were they maybe a Division III team there for a little bit, and they played Defiance College back in the 90s. I know quite a bit. They had some big battles back then.
Yeah, Thomas More was really good. I won't get into the whole thing, but they had a coach there named Vic Clark, and Vic Clark was old school, and he would get guys. You'd play Thomas More, and they had guys, Lynn, that were grown men, like in their 20s, and you're like, where did they get these guys? Well, Vic Clark had a pipeline to the military, and so he would get young guys out of the military. that had money for college,
Eligibility
GI
left.
Bill and eligibility in that.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd get their education and beat up on people in the process. But, yeah, they were good. And now they're Division II.
Division II. Jay Brown, good morning to you. Patriot Publisher, good morning to you as well. Brett Beckman, good morning to you as well. Great night of football a night ago. We got a lot to unpack this morning, Coach. I know we have some conference aspirations and titles that were sewn up as far as getting at least a share of it. But maybe the story of the night is Clay's win over Whitmer. 29-28, went for too late, got it, and they knock off Whitmer for the first time in 20 years.
That was probably
maybe the upset of the year from our area.
Yes.
I think they were 4 touchdown underdogs in that one.
Yep. I can't off the top of my head think of a more significant upset, Lynn. I mean, on paper, I don't know who would have given Clay a chance in that game, to be honest with you.
I didn't.
Outside of maybe a couple.
I think after we saw them against Walpock, we felt they were going to upset somebody. We talked about the big three, didn't we?
Did.
Maybe early on in the season in our podcast or our Rise and Rewind show that they had the guys to maybe pull off a shocker this year against one of the great teams in the Buckeye division. And there it was. Took till week 9, but they get it done, Landon Eckleberry and crew.
You know why it maybe took till week 9? Thinking about it, they have so many sophomores that play key roles. And some coaches will say, you get to about week 6, 7, 8, sophomores are now juniors, right?
Yeah.
So maybe the maturation process, and then Coach Pennington, obviously a little stick-to-itiveness.
Yes.
Because they've never wavered, and now you know what that did for their playoff aspirations last
they're
night?
hosting now, the way it looks.
Unbelievable. What a leap.
Or have a bye, actually, now, I believe.
Unbelievable.
Keep forgetting we have the first-round buys here coming up in a couple weeks.
Yeah, you get those Division I points, and man, oh, man, it can boost you. That was crazy.
Yeah. Bath, Walpock, huge WBL showdown next week at Bath Township as they will play for the WBL title. Walpock already has a share sewn up, but Bath can get a piece of it with a win at home. And that long Walpock winning streak, they've won every WBL title going back to 2018. The only exception 2020, just because there was no title handed out with just 6 games played with the COVID season. And the MAC, Marion Local, has their title sewn up, but they will get Coldwater next week, as Coldwater will try to knock them off. And in their long winning streak down in the NWC, Columbus Grove and Bluffton will play at Clymer Stadium for another NWC championship after an impressive win from the Bulldogs last night. NWAL, Archbold, and Liberty Center at Blue Streak Stadium next Friday night for the NWAL title, as both come in undefeated in the league.
Let me ask you this, Lynn. You mentioned some great matchups. Liberty Center, Archbold, Columbus Grove, Bluffton, Walpock, Bath. I'm not sure if you mentioned a fourth, but those 3 stand out. Which one do you like the best if you had to pick right now?
If I could go to one of those?
Yeah, as a fan, neutral observer, take it in.
I would go to Bath to see Walpock and Bath play, just because of the 2 quarterbacks. I think the 2 best quarterbacks in our coverage area. Caleb Moyer at Walpock and Zach Welsh, after seeing him last night for Bath. If he was 3 inches taller, maybe 10, 15, 20 pounds heavier, he'd be getting some D1 attention.
Big D1 attention.
He's a combination for me of Liberty Center fans that are listening right now will remember this name, Michael Lalonde, and NBC folks that are watching. He's a mixture of him and Mason Heinchel at Clay from a year ago.
Yeah, and kind of in between size-wise, too.
Size, yeah. He's not Michael Lalonde's smaller stature.
Yeah.
But he's a little bulkier, kind of like Mason Heinchel is.
Mm-hmm. If I were a Mid-American Conference coach, which I am not, and I have seen, Lynn, I'll get on my soapbox quick. I have seen more recruiting misses in probably the last 5 years in the Mid-American Conference than I can even count. I'm being serious, because you don't have like you used to. You just put on the tape, and
Right.
now you kind of scroll and you go, that guy looks good.
Do
Okay,
they?
he's got this many stars.
Right.
This guy's got him rated here. Let's offer him.
Well, why are you listening to the recruiting experts? Because they miss an awful lot.
They miss an awful lot. And I'm telling you, if I'm a MAC coach, I will offer Zach Welch. And if you do, you pulled a fast one on the rest of the conference.
Yeah.
Because
what's he listed as?
He's listed at 6 foot 185. And I'm telling you,
if he was 6'2", he would be getting a lot of attention.
Oh, enormous amount of attention. But the thing is, with his feet, he's got some measurables that you take a 6'4" guy that's just a pocket guy, and I know there's not as many of those anymore as there used to be.
Right.
Give me a guy who's 6 foot and can move the pocket, and then when a play breaks down, extend it.
Right.
This dude, I'm telling you, is unbelievable. And if I've seen dudes get scholarships in the Mid-American Conference, and sometimes I'm like, wow, this is a kid, to my knowledge, doesn't have any offers stacked up. My goodness, they're missing.
Boy, they are. Think about the 1980s Showtime Lakers when basketball used to have the fast break. This is this Bath team this year.
Yeah.
Because their receiver gets done running, or Mikey Hale running the ball, or Zach Welch when he gets done running, he gets tackled. They get up, they run the ball to the official to mark it, and they are ready to go. And sometimes they snap the ball and there's still 35 on the play clock. I mean, they get it off quick.
Yep, I have not seen. I know Genoa, our good friend Coach Fisher.
Yeah,
his shirts
spot the ball.
Spot the ball.
Yeah,
Bath is the poster child for spot the ball. I mean, there's Lynn, a couple times last night, they had the ball spotted and snapped within 5 seconds of the play clock.
Yes.
And
sometimes they'll wait a little longer and look at the defense and look to the sideline, and they'll snap it inside of 10 in some instances. But, boy, they get lined up and they get you in situations where you just can't defend them.
No.
And with that talent that Zach Welch has around him, the receivers, and Mikey Hale is an outstanding running back, and they're huge up front.
Oh, they're huge.
They have 300-pound guys, 270.
Yeah, they look like a college line, a Division I high school at the very least. They don't look like a Division IV high school line. And then you flip it over to defense, their defensive line. I mean, we'll talk about their defensive end. Well, both of them, 0 and 99 last night.
Yeah. Raider and Davenport.
Davenport's 0.
He had 3 sacks.
Yep.
To Davenport, he is 6'4", 270.
6'4", 270, plays the edge, and you can't get outside of him if you're trying to move the pocket, if you're trying to roll.
Yeah, he's outstanding.
Oh, I mean, Bath, and here's why I was so tickled to do that game last night, Lynn. Some people might have said, Defiance is 4-4. Why would you, I wanted to see Bath, and I'm glad I did, because honestly, I can see where some coaches and recruiters and things like that may be missing out. If you haven't seen them, you can't appreciate them. And I don't even know if film and highlights do it justice, because I've seen some of that, and I'm like, they're pretty good. And then you see them in person, you see their entire body of work. Like you said, that offense, they use tempo. And obviously, I don't subscribe to that style of offense. Wow. It gives them a distinct advantage.
Yeah, they can be a problem once we get into the playoffs with that style play, especially if their defense can give up 28 or less, because I don't know how many teams are going to hold them under 30 with their abilities. And Brady Stabler, good friend Brady Stabler, just commented, got to interview Zach Welch and Jack Rader a few weeks ago. Great players, but also great kids. We haven't had the chance to talk to those Bath kids, but
that's even better.
Even better, yeah.
I love that. And
we haven't even got to Paulding.
No.
Wrapped up their first conference championship since 1988 with the win at Tenora last night. That would be our lead in most instances on a Saturday morning, and we're that one's
they're going to be 10-0.
Yeah, they're going to be 10-0.
The Panthers are going to be 10-0, and I'm tickled for them.
First time they would be 10-0 since 1988 as well, when Jim Menzie was a little snap running around.
88.
Yeah.
I was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
That is wonderful for Paulding, man.
Yeah, so happy for Jim Menzie and those Paulding kids, the Man's boys.
Oh,
Had another big night. We'll get to that at the end of our show. The GMC is the last game we will talk about this week. Tim Goodwin, he tied Al Hetrick, the great Al Hetrick at Versailles, God rest his soul, for the most wins in MAC history last night in that one. And we had some other record-breaking nights around the area.
unbelievable. We're blessed to cover a lot of great athletes and coaches, Lynn, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Let's take a break and come back and talk about last night's finals from around Northwest Ohio. The Swanton Welding Company proudly supports our local student athletes and coaches. We're committed to being your local steel fabrication company in Northwest Ohio and building projects across the country. For job opportunities at the Swanton Welding Company, visit www.swantonweld.com or visit them at 407 Zyder Way in Swanton. Thank you to our good friend Norm Zyder at the Swanton Welding Company for being the title sponsor of Rise and Rewind this season. Coach Strock, can't thank Normie enough, as giving and as generous as they come in this world.
Yep, very thankful for Normie and his family and his unwavering support. And even if he has little or nothing to gain from a sponsorship like this, he just wants to give back.
He wants to support local schools, athletes, and communities. And Normie is as good as it gets in that aspect of things. Monday will be our podcast this week. We'll have the great Maddie Klein from BCSN Sports with us to pick the Week 10 games, and we will have some good ones as we have already discussed.
Better do our homework, bud.
Yeah, we should. And I think my your lead on me and the pick'ems maybe grew a night ago. I haven't looked, but a couple of the games that I needed to go my way did not, and I think I'm even deeper. And I listened to Kevin McCann, our guest picker, the great Kevin McCann, who was an All-Ohio player at Tenora and then went on to Findlay. Listen to him on that Tenora pick. He had me all riled up because he was talking about the Rams getting it done against Paulding last night. And this is the second time that I picked against Paulding, and they've stung me. The Man's boys and Colt Hunt and Blake Roanhouse and crew, they got me again last night.
I learned my lesson picking against them once. My son was at that game last night, and he was uber impressed with Paulding. And I said, the Man's boys are really good, aren't they? He said, they are, but I think that quarterback should get more attention. He can sling it.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was pretty cool. But, yeah, Kevin McCann, he was awesome on our podcast.
But he steered me the wrong way.
But he did.
He steered me the wrong way. I think you brought him in here to up your lead maybe. Was some kind of a
ploy?
Yeah, what was that?
One of the things I tell my kids in health class, Lynn, when we're talking about peer pressure is that it doesn't end after your teenage years. It can continue. And I think you got pressured into making some bad decisions.
Well, I know you're good friends with Ryan Crandall, who's his business partner at Science Physical Therapy. And maybe there's something going on
behind the scenes.
Yeah.
You gonna launch an investigation?
I might. I know some people that can get it done and find out what happened there.
Yeah, I there were some close ones. That was one. The one you may lead with here, Fremont, Indiana, and Toledo Creek. That was one I don't think any of us really knew.
No, that was one you got just because you deliver there for Maumee Valley Vending in the summertime. I mean, it's like my wife picking a game because the mascot or the colors, and that's what you did. See,
I did. Used to deliver to a place called Cold Heading in Fremont, Indiana. You walk into Cold Heading, and it's about 135 degrees. They work 7 days a week, 12-hour days. I'm being serious. And I'm thinking, you know what? Some of those dudes probably have kids that play.
Probably.
And it isn't going to be all touchy-feely. If the coach chews their butt, the kid's going to have to deal with it. I go, I like Fremont in this one.
Yeah. I'm going to have you do me a favor here this morning, along with Joe Itel and the computer rankings. I want you to pull up Fantastic 50 and get the seeding probabilities as we go into the final week of the regular season here. But thanks to the great folks, Joe Itel, Drew Pastor, boy, they help us out a lot for what they do, and they do it kind of out of the goodness of their heart, really.
Yep, I got Fantastic 50 points. No, I was looking at I like to get up early on these mornings and go through all this before I come in. You obviously get to bed about 3 hours later than I do each night. And
yeah, I didn't get a chance to look at the seeding probabilities, but I think it's important we talk
Yeah.
about that this morning.
Love
and
to.
What Drew Pastor's Ohio Fantastic 50 and
Love to.
Joe Itel do for the football media people around the state of Ohio. It's fantastic. Can't thank them enough.
It's crazy, and it's a labor of love for those
I don't
guys.
know how they get all those scores inputted so quickly.
I don't either. And
it's just
you look at Fantastic 50, just like the team page, just the individual team page. Like I'm looking at Napoleon Wildcats, and you have all their stuff, for the 10 games, and then all the probability and all the data. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And there's 700 and some teams, in the state or whatever there is, for crying out loud.
Kenny Stabler, you know what? Sometimes just zip it, because I've been a Paulding doubter, and Kenny's out there wanting to know where all the Paulding doubter is. I'm not doubting you anymore, Jim Minzy and Paulding. I'm sorry. I picked against you twice this season. You showed me. Let's move on.
Yeah, and Lynn, and it gets people in betting all the time. It's so tempting, Tenora
to
at
pick
home.
One up on
I
you.
know, I know, and it's tempting sometimes, but it's like sometimes it's best just to run the ball and play good defense.
Yeah,
and that's what
get the ball to Jordan and Jalen Mans.
Yeah, you can. That'll help. That'll help.
Jay Brown, thanks for that nugget. Casey Moeller picked up his 100th win last night in just 9 seasons. That's pretty darn impressive.
In 9 seasons. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's outstanding, and he did that on the heels of Rex Lindgren's career.
Yeah.
They say you don't want to follow the man,
right?
You want to follow the next man.
Yeah.
Casey followed the man, and dare I say, he's kind of even up the profile of things there.
Yeah.
If that was possible.
The only thing missing is a state championship, and maybe wait a couple months on that one.
I'm going to be knocking on the door, I can tell you that.
Right there again this season, as they have the last 2 seasons. Going to start in the non-conference from a night ago. North Baltimore 63-14 over Crestline. North Baltimore had some stat issues last night, so we don't have any stats. They're going to get us those stats at some point here this morning, Coach Bishop said. But North Baltimore continues to roll now 9-0 on the season. Where did North Baltimore move to in the Region 26 standings after that one?
Whoops, I was on Joe. North Baltimore. I should have had Fantastic 50 just pulled up. There it is. All right. North Baltimore. Ooh, sitting at second in the probabilities. Okay. Lima Central Catholic won.
LCC stayed 1 after their loss.
They did. North Baltimore, then Lipsick and Mohawk.
Okay, yeah. If we get those North Baltimore stats before we get off the air this morning, we'll get those to you. But as I said, Coach Bishop said they had some issues with the internet connection, and they weren't able to get those for us last night. But I'm sure Luke Long and Cooper Clark had a big night again.
There's no question. You can almost assume.
Same names that we've been talking about for the first 8 weeks of the season. You talked about Fremont, Indiana, 40-7 over Toledo Christian. That snapped TC's 6-game winning streak. TC had 316 yards, 91 of those rushing from Jack Detters, and 114 yards receiving from Josiah Hillrich. But Toledo Christian's winning streak is snapped at home against Fremont, Indiana last night.
I would say this is a positive first season for Toledo Christian as they transition back to 11-man football,
Yeah.
And so I think Coach Skeels has to be pretty pleased with their progress, and I think their future looks bright.
That dropped Toledo Christian to 13th in Region 26 after last night.
Yeah, I think they're maybe projected like 17th.
Yeah.
They have 0-9, Corey Rawson, week 10, I think.
Yeah,
so
that their probabilities has really knocked them back from what Fantastic 50 is saying.
Yeah. Looks pretty bleak for them.
Small change.
17th, projected 17th. And then their probability with a win, 2% in.
Okay.
So
Springfield 45-0 over Woodward last night. No problem for the Blue Devils in that one. No stats to report in that matchup. Another battle for the Irish night last night on Cherry Street, Central Catholic and St. Francis. Central had rolled into that one, having won the last 23, and they left no doubt. A year ago's game was pretty tight into the fourth quarter before the Irish pulled away, but 40-0 Central Catholic last night. 24th straight victory. They held St. Francis to 60 total yards in that matchup. Central Catholic now 5-4. They had 356 yards. 222 of those were on the ground. Jeremiah Fuller had 160 yards rushing and 2 scores on just 14 totes. Ali Baidoun hit on 7 of 13 passes, 132 yards and a score to Notre Dame commit Preston Frizel, who had 3 catches, 109 yards, and a touchdown. That score surprised me a little bit. I thought St. Francis would have the mettle to go in there to Gallagher Stadium and make that one tight, at least competitive in the second half. And that Central team, they must have brought an attitude in there because they absolutely rolled coming off that loss a week ago. Now 5-4 is Central Catholic on the season.
Yeah, they Lynn, it's what they've done to Toledo Central Catholic, or I'm sorry, St. Francis and St. John's, what Central Catholic has done to them. It's almost like they wanted to remind people that they're still running things there. And and it also tells me this. How formidable is that Catholic League in Detroit, for crying out loud?
Yeah. Well, it's one of the best in the Midwest.
Yeah, and they've got some chinks in their armor, and then they do this to our teams locally. I think that speaks very well of that conference.
Central Catholic now sitting 8th heading into week number 10. They will host Muskegon Mona Shores, who is 5-3 from Michigan here, coming up in week number 10. How would you like to be the 1 seed and have to play Central Catholic coming off of the off the bye?
Unbelievable. They're looks like projected 8th.
Okay.
Right? Is that what you?
They're 8th right now.
Okay,
and
projected 8th.
Okay.
So yeah, the one team in that region is really, really good, Medina Buckeye.
Yep.
And then
they're going to be the top seed. Walpock is staring at the 2 seed, 97% chance there. Lexington, the Minutemen, looking like they will be 3rd or 5th. Rocky River is likely going to be the 4 seed. Copley, good chance for the 3 or 4 seed. Toledo Central Catholic, best chance, or their highest percentage seed is 9th, 38%, and then 27% to be the 6th seed.
Are we and that, not to be disrespectful at all, but is it a waste of time to talk about anybody other than Central Catholic, Walpock, and Buckeye?
I don't know much about Medina Buckeye. You may know a little bit more than I do. I haven't researched them a whole lot, but
the only thing I know,
nobody else has a chance, and I would say Central is a 90% chance to win that region. Wow. Honestly,
yeah, it's just a different, as good as Walpock is and has been. Yeah, I just Medina Buckeye. I followed them a little bit when I think it was Barberton forfeited to them a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Due to lack of players, and then so I got on and I'm like, well, people, Barberton's scared, and I'm like, okay, how good is Buckeye? And I start looking at some things. I'm like, okay, they're pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But again, Central's a whole nother level.
Yeah. Western Buckeye League, speaking of Walpock, 41-10 victory for the Redskins last night against Elida at home. That was the 25th straight league victory for Walpock. They will play for the outright WBL crown next week at Lima Bath. Walpock was 20 of 26 passing, 271 yards, and they ran for 136 on 17 attempts. Elida falls to 4-5 and 3-5 with that setback.
So much respect for the WBL, and we saw 2 teams slug it out last night. And you got to win. I mean, you got to play 9 league games in that 10-team league. You got to play 9, and you got to win 8 or 9 most years to win the league outright. And there's so much parity in that league. Even Kenton, who's maybe at the bottom, well, OG's at the bottom, but they're not a pushover, and Kenton's certainly not.
Right.
In the middle of the pack teams in the WBL would do very well in some other leagues, I'll tell you that.
Elida, second straight loss. Remember, they lost to Defiance last week after having that 21-20 lead, and then Defiance reeled off 21 or 22 straight to win that one. And Elida has dropped all the way to 17th in Division 4, Region 14. Lima Bath, who we're going to touch on here in just a second, is up to second. Shelby is first. Galleon third. Napoleon is 4 right now. Bay is 5th. 6 is Bellevue. Sandusky Perkins is 7, and then Clear Fork is 8. No other area teams in Region 14. But how about Braden DeVito against Zach Welsh, possibly in the Region 14 playoff picture?
As I was looking at these this morning, Lynn, I'm thinking about that matchup, and I don't know if I could miss it. Like, I don't know if they'd have room for us to be there to broadcast, but I just don't think I can miss that one. That would be must-see TV. Those two, for my money, would be the favorites there. But I'll tell you who's really, really good in that region is Galleon.
Mm-hmm.
Galleon is really good, and if you look at Galleon's schedule, they have one loss. That was to Shelby DeVito. To Shelby, 45-34. I mean, they sanded St. Mary's.
Yep, I remember that.
And they've sanded. Well, they didn't sand Marion Harding last night. They beat them, but they're really good.
Okay,
Galleon is really good, and but boy, Shelby and Bath.
Yeah,
and then you have Perkins down there. We talk about Central Catholic. You don't want to run into that. You don't want to play Perkins early.
Right.
If you're a team coming off a bye. And your reward is to play Perkins, you don't want that.
Right. Shelby has locked up the number 1 seed going into week number 10.
Locked it up.
Galleon, 76% chance to be the 2 seed. Napoleon, 76% chance to be the 3 seed in that region. Bath, they have likely as the 4 seed. So you'll have Shelby, Galleon, Napoleon, and Bath as the top 4 seeds and buys in week 11.
If we were picking favorites in that region, it would have to be Shelby and Bath.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. 5 plays 12, 6 plays 11, 7 plays 10, 8 plays 9, and then 8, 9 plays the top seed in week number 12. And the first 3 rounds, the higher seed will host.
Yep.
And then the regional championships will go to a neutral site, state semifinals, neutral site, and then we'll go to Canton for the state championships to update you how the playoff brackets work this season. We'll break down the playoff picture in more detail this upcoming week on our podcast. And then next Saturday, we should have a pretty clear picture. I know there's a lot of Saturday games around this area next week and around the state. So we should have a pretty good idea of where we stand at this time next Saturday as we go into the playoffs. And the weather's going to be turning a little more to the playoff
starting
style. 50s.
Yep.
This upcoming week. 80s today, but
this is it.
This
is like the bridge.
Well, we've thought that a couple times,
but I think
I think it is too. I know the weather guys. This is gonna be our last 80 degree day of the year, and then we have another 2, 3, 4. But I think this is it.
I do too, and next week, 50s. 50s, 60s, and you come out in the second half and can see your breath next week. It's going to be
what I like to see.
I do too.
I love that. Also in the Western Buckeye League, Lima Shawnee was impressive last night. 45-24 at home over Van Wert. Ended a 2-game skid to the Indians, which never trailed the Cougars. And that one, Van Wert had 3 turnovers. The Indians opened up a 38-17 lead in the second half after leading 24-17 at the break. Shawnee 6-3, 6-2 in the Western Buckeye League. Used a Chase Del Palma 13-yard toss to Christian Jones and a Jones 1-yard plunge to gain the separation in the second half at 38-17. Despite running 16 less plays, Shawnee outgained the Cougars 354 to 300. Jones had 101 yards and 2 scores on only 6 totes to pace Shawnee. Zach Crummy was 26 of 43 passing for Van Wert, 257 yards, 2 scores. Micah Cohen, another big night for Van Wert, a dozen catches, 142 yards, and 1 score in that one. And Van Wert's playoff aspirations took a pretty big hit. Where did that knock Van Wert down to, Coach?
Yeah, Van Wert took a. I looked at that this morning. They got knocked, I think, out of it. Get to the region here. Probabilities. Yeah, they're 12, 15, 17, and 99% chance of being out. 1%, yeah,
1% chance of getting in now
at the 12th seed.
Oh man.
Yeah, and Lynn, that particular game, Shawnee Van Wert, for me was kind of the last measuring stick of, is this Shawnee team a contender? Are they for real? That tells me they are. Some of these WBL scores, it's like the Big 12. There's a lot of games that are high scoring, and
Scott Army, good to see you.
I don't know if it's necessarily bad defense. I think it's a lot of good offense. I knew that one. Always good to see Scott Army.
Well, Tracy and your nieces not showing up this morning, which is probably good.
Speaks volumes.
Is Tracy watching at home? Do we know?
Oh, I know she is. He told me she was. But that's, I think, why they sent Scott out here, to try to soften us up. Hey, Scotty, go out there, try to take the edge off these guys.
Yeah.
But it ain't going to work. Scott's a good guy, but it ain't going to work.
Yeah, no, that's not going to be enough, Tracy.
Nope.
Not going to be enough.
Didn't even scratch the surface.
No, absolutely not. Speaking of Lima Bath, 39-21 over Defiance last night. Now 8-1 is Bath. They have not won 9 games since 1999, which was also the last time they won the Western Buckeye League. They have that chance against Walpock at home this week. Bath scored the final 21 points to erase a 21-18 deficit and pulled away in the waning minutes from the Bulldogs. That was 25-21 Bath at like 7:30 left in the game, wasn't it?
Yes.
And then they they got rolling. The Wildcats will face Walpock for a share of the WBL crown, as I mentioned, at home this week. Bath had 305 yards in the first half, and they trailed 13-12. They fumbled at the Defiance 3, and they marched the Defiance 11. Both times got no points out of those trips, but they finally got it going in the second half. The visitors continued the onslaught in the final 24 minutes, finished with 580 yards, led by 327 yards passing and 151 rushing from the WBL's top offensive producer and Zach Welsh, who we've talked about. He had 4 total touchdowns. Mikey Hale added 93 yards rushing. Daniel Cole had 123 yards receiving, and Josiah Clark added 99 yards receiving. Kelton Gibbs, huge night for Defiance, 232 yards on 20 lugs. He had 2 scores of 41 and 74. Defiance now 4-5 will need to win at Salina next week to get into the Region 10 playoffs.
Couple things about that game. I'm a big Kelton Gibbs fan. Boy, he's a bruiser.
Yeah,
he is a bruiser. Love what Steve Rittenauer's done as far as keeping the kids focused and playing hard and playing with intensity and stuff. That was evident last night. And the Bath first half, Lynn, reminded me a little bit of Clay at Walpock, how they drove the field, knocked on the door, couldn't get in. But you always felt last night like it was a matter of time before Bath just took the lid off that thing. And Defiance held them down as long as they could. And I think that's a testament to their kids and coaches, because this score ended up 39-21, but it was a lot closer than that throughout.
Yeah, it was till about the midway point of the fourth quarter. And boy, Bath, remember that possession, was it right before the half where they had like minute 15 and they scored in like 20 seconds, went like 70 some yards.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And their clock management is unique. We kind of learned last night because they're always looking. Bath's mentality is no matter how much time's left on the clock, we can score.
Well, and get the ball back
and get it back.
Yeah,
it's impressive.
Maybe like 1:15 when they scored, And we're like, well, run some clock here so
Yes.
Defiance doesn't have time. No, they did it because they had 3 timeouts and they stopped 3 Defiance rushes so they could get the ball back.
Yes, that's exactly the scenario. Very good recollection there. Yeah, and I'm thinking, what are you doing? Slow down, tap the brakes.
Right.
No, they had all 3 timeouts, which is great game management by Frank Russell.
Yeah, kind of
And,
opposite of way you think.
Yeah, it is 180 degrees opposite. But and they're aggressive. I mean, it's one of those, the saying, all brakes no gas, or all gas no brakes. That's how they play.
And they don't chuck it down the
No,
field.
they don't.
They don't throw bombs a lot. They threw a 1-2, maybe over 30 yards the whole night.
Yeah.
I think both of those were after Welsh had kind of scrambled around and had a chance to throw it deep. But otherwise, they don't throw it deep down the field and try to stress you too much with the deep passing game.
They stress you with tempo and then just taking what you give them. And where they're really good is that RPO game. We saw it so many times last night. They just roll Welsh out normally to the right, and they just have a little guy leaking out there. And do we attack the quarterback or do we cover this guy? You're on an island, and if you attack him, he's going to dump it. If you play coverage, he's going to run it. And you see it on film. That's what's really, I think, going to be tough for teams in the playoffs. These WBL teams have seen 10 weeks of Frank Russell Lima Bath film for the last couple of years. So you have a really good feel of exactly what they want to do. You're playing them going in blind in the playoffs with a few game films. Oh, my goodness. What a nightmare to prepare for.
Yeah. You don't get a Zach Welsh too often in your coaching career, probably. He's kind of maybe a once in a coaching career type.
If you're lucky.
And he's so cool. He doesn't have blazing speed, but you just can't get a hand on him.
No, he's got shake. He's got shake. He's got great feet.
Yes.
And he probably doesn't run a 4.5.
No.
But in a box where you got to play quarterback in about a 6x6 box, and you can't get him. Like if you're playing a game of tag in a small room with him, you're going to have trouble getting him. It's fun to watch, man.
Yeah, and he's so calm. There's a couple times when he'd have 2-3 defenders chasing him that are real close, and acts like he's running around out there by himself.
He
just never gets nervous.
No. Fourth down. They had a 4th and 13, right?
Yeah.
And he just stood in the pocket and delivered toward the sideline, right on the mark, first down.
Yeah, he is a special talent there for the Bath Wildcats. Your sister says she's not scared of you.
Well,
I wonder if Peyton's watching.
No. Peyton's not watching, but Tracy will play that clip for her. And you know what she'll do? Because I know her pretty well.
Just laugh.
She will laugh. And even if I put my mean face on. See, growing up, Peyton was super, super scared of me. She didn't talk to me, Lynn, until she was about 14.
Really?
I'm dead serious. Anybody in the family will tell you that. We'd walk in for Christmas or whatever gathering, and I'd say, "Hey, Patty, come here." Oh, my goodness. She would go hide and I don't know if my voice or whatever scared her, but she was scared to death of me. Now she's not.
Well, obviously, after she was the instigator of the sticky and grease.
Yeah.
On your side. I like how she said on your side.
Yeah.
She didn't sit on my side.
They know. That was well orchestrated. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
You can just see those greasy fries sitting here.
How about Robert Bailey got up early in Las Vegas to watch us?
Robert, thank you very, very much. We appreciate that.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Good luck out there in Vegas.
Yeah, bring us some winnings back.
Bring us some winnings. Black Swamp would appreciate that support.
We sure would. Rounding out the Western Buckeye League games from a night ago, Salina 48-28 over OG. Salina scored 35 points combined in the 2 middle quarters to prevail at home. Bulldogs now 3-6, 3-5, and the WBL had 430 yards to 345 for the Titans, who are still winless. And OG ran 21 more plays actually in that one. Parker Burtkey had a massive night for Salina, 246 yards, 3 trips to pay dirt on 17 rushes. Oscar Salisbury had 106 yards rushing for OG, and Deegan Miller caught 5 passes for 98 yards and a score. But another offensive battle in the WBL between Salina and OG last night. But Salina picks up the win, and they will host Defiance on Friday night to round out the regular season. And Defiance will, as we mentioned, need a win to move on to week number 11. And then St. Mary's knocked off Kenton 35-26. I don't have any stats from that one, but the Rough Riders pick up the win 35-26. Where does St. Mary's reside right now in the playoff picture, Coach?
They are sitting at 10th right now, Lynn, sitting in the 10 spot. And then as far as their seeding, let me get to D3 Region 10. As far as their seeding probability, 9th, 41%, 8th, 41%, 9th. So they're going to be in that 8-9 spot.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, it's pretty significant percentage, 8 or 9, right behind Toledo Central Catholic.
Okay. Good match up against Buckeye.
Yep.
If they win in the first round, St. Mary's.
Another team that when you see them year after year, see you guys. Are you going? All right, see you. Yeah, when you see St. Mary's year after year after year, you have a pretty good feel for what they like to do.
Mm-hmm.
But when you just see them in the playoffs, boy, that's a tough ask. And whoever they play their first game, they'll compete with. I can tell you that.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Tracy says Peyton is not scared of anyone.
Yeah.
At least I warned you, Tory.
That is true. I do know that.
Yeah.
She used to be, but not anymore.
Yeah. Well, you've lost your luster.
I have
clout.
I have. I don't know. They know I'm getting soft as I'm getting older. I'm too nice. I put up a front, but Lynn, I'm curious. Ottawa Glandorf's going to finish 0-10. I would be shocked if they knock off Shawnee week 10. I'm curious what the Titans have in the pipeline, because even though that's a tough league, 0-10, that's tough.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got one of the best coaches in Northwest Ohio,
Yeah.
Ken Schreiner, and
Yep.
he's got a great staff. Just curious if what's coming up there in Titan country.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I don't think it's the coaching.
I don't think so either.
Ken's one of the best ones there is in all the state.
Yep.
He at a basketball school, he has done wonders with that football program. Been there forever.
Oh, been there forever.
Yeah, a great high school player back in his day too.
Yes, he was.
Yeah. He's a tough dude.
Oh, real tough dude. Soft-spoken, very nice. He's a gentleman, but it's
between the lines, he's a little different.
He's a little different, like Mark Emmons.
Yeah.
You say, oh, what a good guy,
Yes.
what a nice guy, and he is. But boy, they have that other gear there, and just be curious going forward. Now, just as I said, I don't expect OG to beat Shawnee Friday, and they'll be an underdog. But
are they thinking about basketball season?
Well, they might be, but I just all season long I've expected Ottawa Glandorf to sneak up and bite somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And if they get Shawnee next week, that'd be a heck of a way to end the season.
Yeah. Midwest Athletic Conference from last night. Anna, 28-24 over Fort Recovery. What a game that was. Logan Ziegenbusch touchdown to Brody Murray with 3:04 left. Sent Anna past the Indians. Anna got touchdowns from Riley Brewer and Ziegenbusch rushing, while Zebediah Plyman also had a receiving score. The Rockets ran for 126 yards on 35 attempts and threw for 140. Reese Wendell carried Fort Recovery with 125 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. Breaker Jute also had a rushing score. Wendell now has 1,008 yards rushing this season, and that's a pretty good feat facing MAC defenses.
Yeah, it just again it speaks to the parity in that conference. You have the Anna Rockets who came within a whisker of knocking off Marion Local and ending their streak, and all Fort Recovery does is take them to the wire and lead a good portion of that game and just come up short.
Yeah. Where is Fort Recovery in the region standings, Coach?
Okay, let me flip it over there. I was at looking at Anna in Coldwater there. I'll get to Fort Recovery here.
They are 12th right now. You can give me their seeding probabilities.
Yep, Fort Recovery seeding probability. There's the highest probability is that they end up 11th, and then the next highest probability is 12th. 13% that they could be out, but
Okay.
looks like they're going to be sitting in that 11-12 spot.
Anna is now 6th in Division 6, Region 24. If you can go to Region 24 and get the Rockets seeding probabilities for me.
624. Yes, sir. Yep. So currently projected 6th, and it looks like they're locked in there. Pretty high probability at 67%.
6th or 7th is probably where they're going to be.
Yep. So
how would you like to face them in round 2? The Anna Rockets.
You know, yeah, it's one of those. If you know, you know. You can look at some of these regions, and some of the top teams have no idea what they're in for. Some do, but a lot don't. And oh my goodness, there could be a 10-0 team playing a 6-4 MAC team.
Yeah,
and it could be just a beat down.
Brady Stabler says top 4 seeds deserve the choice to take a bye or not, just like other sports when going into bracket play in sectional semis versus taking a bye.
What do you think about that? You know what? Brady Stabler and Brayton Martin.
Calculated.
Yeah, and Brayton Martin and Brady Stabler don't just spew out nonsense. They say stuff that I didn't think about.
Yeah.
Which isn't saying a whole lot, but and then you think about it and you're like, well, I guess that makes sense. That's a fair point.
Yeah. I talked to a MAC coach, not going to say who it was, but they said, give me the bye. Give me the bye was a MAC coach I talked to. He thinks smaller schools need to get healthy, and that week off will help them with the smaller rosters.
Let me ask you this.
I think, and I would say football is also different than those other sports too, because of the physicality.
Because of the physicality, I would agree. I like the idea about taking a bye or not.
Yeah.
My question for you, if that were an option, what percentage, just a guess, what percentage of coaches would take the bye versus playing week 1?
I would say close to 50, maybe, from the folks that I've talked to. I think they're so scared of their team getting rusty with that week off. Don't really know what to do with that week off. Now, give it 5 years, and I think it'll be like 80-90% would take the bye because of the health reasons and getting healthier. But right now, I think there's like a mental hurdle for these coaches being worried that their team will come out rusty in week 12 after the bye.
Yeah, and I think
there's a little PTSD from the college football playoff because all the teams that had byes a year ago, I think they lost.
Yeah.
But I would also say I think the seeding was bad.
It was
in the college football playoff, and that was kind of the reason. I don't think it was because the teams were rusty. But personally, I feel like take a week off, rejuvenate, recharge your battery, come out with your hair on fire in week 12.
Yeah, I think so too. I struggle. So the only time I know of buys, we had one in 2021. I think I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. During the COVID year, the coaches actually seeded the region like they do in other sports, and we got a buy, and I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, and I think it's the unknown is what is making these coaches nervous. But once I think they experience it, I think they're going to like it, especially from a football perspective. Other sports are different. Baseball, you want to play a lot. Basketball, you want to play every few days. Football's a little different in my mind.
Yeah, I do too. And I also think that bye, Lynn, I think part of it, if coaches had to decide if they wanted to buy or not, I think it matters who you would play coming off the bye.
Yeah.
You know, I do. And
I agree with that.
If you're playing someone that you know, just you've just got them out, man, you're going to kill them. Then I don't think you really care as much because you can knock the rust off in that game and still win 42-0. But that might hinge on it. But should coaches have a choice? I would say maybe they should.
Maybe they can have a choice.
Maybe they should.
Yeah.
And if they say, no, we don't want to buy, we want to play, then they just flip spots with the next team.
Yeah, I guess how do you do you just flip spots with the next team?
Plug the 5 team in there, or
I-
plug the 6 team in there, and the first 4 teams say we don't want the buy, then 5, 6, 7, and 8 have the buy. I don't know, but I think it's fair. I think you've earned the right. If you finish top 4 in the region, maybe you've earned the right to make that choice for your team and program.
Yeah, but are you going to put your kids out there and risk an injury in a game that you know you're going to win?
I wouldn't.
It's just a little different football.
No, I wouldn't.
Basketball, baseball, other sports.
No, I wouldn't. And that's one of the arguments with the expansion. You're forcing teams to play these extra games, you know, that shouldn't even be played, and risking injury. So I personally would take the buy in a heartbeat. I like the buy.
Yeah.
But again, I understand.
An interesting survey to give all the football coaches in Ohio and see where they're at.
Yeah, but there's Brady Stabler.
Yeah, he's always calculated with his questions for us. But a good one.
Love it.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll talk to some coaches after the season, or after week 11 and week 12, after they've had the bye, and kind of see where they're at and how they're going to run their practices week 11 without a game. Give them a chance to go watch the teams they're going to play, though, on Friday night too. You're going to get a good scouting advantage.
Yeah, in-person scouting, which you don't do as much anymore.
Right.
So,
also in the MAC from a night ago, how about Coldwater? 44-14 over Versailles. That was their 20th straight victory over the Tigers. Derek Dews, 101 yards and 2 touchdowns rushing. Carson Holman was 10 of 12 passing, 186 yards, 3 scores to lift the Cavaliers to 6-3, 5-2 in the MAC. Caleb Schroyer, John Pullman, and Dews had receiving scores as well. Coldwater had 386 yards on 41 plays, held Versailles to 253 yards on 47 snaps. Versailles now 4-5, has lost 3 straight. They got 114 yards rushing from Ethan Wilker in that one. Coldwater likely going to be the 5 seed in Division 6, Region 24.
I'll tell you something that's crazy, Lynn. This is crazy. The Versailles Tigers, are likely out, 93% chance of being out.
Yeah.
And just a few weeks ago, for all intents and purposes, had Marion Local on the ropes. About beat them, if not for a close call. And they're not going to play in the postseason, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that says more about the MAC than anything. And then maybe their tanks were just empty after that game.
Curious to talk to their coaching staff and their players, how much that loss took out of them.
I would too. And now, let me ask you this. They about beat Marion Local, lost 20-19. They have St. Henry at home on Friday. St. Henry will be a favorite on the road. Does Versailles have one last punch left in them? Could they knock off the Redskins?
I don't know why they couldn't.
I mean,
They're 14th right now in Division 5, Region 20. What would a win give their chances?
Exactly what I'm looking at right now. With a win, they're in.
They win, they're in.
If they win, they're in. 100% in.
That seeding probability is taking an effect that they're going to lose.
They're going to lose. You're absolutely right.
If they win, they're in.
100% in number 10 projected, but the 9 to 12 slot, 100% in with a win. Now, if that doesn't refuel you,
they have a chance.
They have a chance.
Destiny's still in their hands here.
And they have them at home.
Yeah.
They have St. Henry at home, but they've lost 4 straight, 3 since that Marion Local game. And only one was particularly close. It was 14-12 to Minster.
Yeah. 4 in a row. And
if you're St. Henry, you better have your guard up.
They'll be ready to roll. Well, Ryan Jones and crew at home with St. Henry rolling into town.
Hey, Hopper, can I get another shot of coffee, buddy? Yes, please.
I'm good. Thank you, Hopper.
They take good care of us out here, don't they?
Yes, they do.
No, thank you, Hopper.
Marion.
Black.
Marion Local 42-0 over Minster, dominant fashion in that one. That was Tim Goodwin's 334th career victory, tying him with For Sale's legend Al Hetrick for the most wins in the history of the Midwest Athletic Conference.
Thank you very much, Hopper. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Hopper.
Yep. Appreciate it.
What can you say about what Tim Goodwin's done? That number of wins, Lynn, is just it's mind-boggling. It's not like baseball where you play 28 games a year, or basketball where you play 23, 25, depending on tournament. You get 10 games guaranteed. And he's 323?
334.
334.
334.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, that was their 73rd straight win. Doesn't take too long when you're winning 73 in a row, right?
No, that racks them up.
Yeah, the special teams got in the act early for the Flyers last night. Andrew Schmackers had a 66-yard punt return for a score, and Cale Nagel had a 63-yard punt return for a touchdown. Those were not they were about 8 minutes apart in the first quarter for Marion Local as they jumped out early against Minster, and that one 42-0 final. Marion Local ran for 223 yards and squashed the Wildcats rushing game by holding the host to 5 yards on 28 attempts. Probably some sacks in there, I would assume. Camden Eifert went for 138 yards and 3 scores for the Flyers. A victory over Coldwater next week would lock up the conference title outright for the Flyers, which have won or shared every MAC title dating back to 2016. And they got another one, at least a share. Win over Coldwater will give them the title outright.
Unbelievable. The good news for the Minster Wildcats are going to be in the postseason, win or lose next week against Fort Recovery. And it's another one of those scenarios where do you want to draw Minster, in round one? But, Marion Local, again, people just expect them to win, and they're a public school, just has old school values, and they do it the right way. And it's what they have rolling right now is unbelievable.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I wonder if Andrew Schmackers is related to Mitch, who go down where our magazine is printed at Post Printing in Minster. Met Mitch a couple years ago when I went down there to watch our magazine get printed. I wonder if that's relation to Mitch, if there's anybody from Marion Local out there listening, if they could help us out. It's got to be some kind of relation.
I was going to say they're connected somewhere.
And I know Mitch, I think he played on one of Tim Goodwin's first teams when he was at Marion Local, if I remember correctly what he told me that day. It was interesting hearing him talk about the community and program, everything that you think about Marion Local. Mitch is he exonerates it, just high class people down there in Matt Country and Maria Stein, and works in Minster now.
What's interesting, Lynn, and there's a lot of programs like this. Now, some programs are steeped in over 100 years of tradition. I mean, you look at Massillon and schools like that.
Yep.
It hasn't always been like that at Marion Local. I remember, because I know one of the coaches pre-Tim Goodwin, and Marion Local, they'll play tough. They'll be physical, but they'll be average. And then Tim Goodwin, when I was at Bluffton College, I've told you this, Tim Goodwin was the head baseball coach at Bluffton High School.
Yeah.
They played on our field at the college, and I'm just looking at this guy down there coaching third base, because we'd rake the field and get it ready before the high school games for him and that, and didn't think much of it. Down there coaching third base, had no idea that he would end up becoming a future legend in the game. But and he's just so humble about it.
Right.
If you passed him on the street, you wouldn't even know he was a football coach.
No.
Just
and he probably could coach at any level.
He could
if he had the opportunity, but he's never wanted to leave Marion Local. I'm sure he's probably had some offers, I would think, and shame on some small colleges if they have not reached out to Tim Goodwin.
Yeah, 3 words. Tim Goodwin would probably tell you. Quality of life. Quality of life's good down there
Yeah.
in Maria Stein for a guy like Tim Goodwin, who's not a showboater. You ain't gonna see him out there, posting all this. The streak continues. Hashtag
Nope.
Flyers.
I don't think Tim Goodwin's got a Twitter account.
No, and there's a good chance Tim Goodwin has a flip phone, to be honest with you.
We'll have to ask him if he does. But yeah, he's old school.
Mhm.
Not a lot of razzle dazzle. You don't see the Marion local kids ever celebrate. They celebrate with each other.
Yeah.
They knock an opponent down. They pick them up, knock them down again, and they just keep doing it over and over and over.
And you don't see the Marion local coaches on the sidelines acting like a bunch of animals.
Nope, don't act like fools.
No.
Nope, calm.
Yeah, they are.
If a kid needs
a
little
talking
chewing,
to,
they'll give it to them, but
Yep.
very respectful to the kids. And faith, family, football.
In
Pretty
that order.
much.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's crazy. It really is.
Yeah, Marion local boy. They have Coldwater. Patriot Publisher says Coldwater is going to upset the Flyers this week. This may be the year to do it. If you're going to do it, this is probably the year to do it if you're going to get Marion local, because they have all those sophomores that are outstanding. Still a little young is Marion local, but
where's that game at, Lynn?
It is at Marion local.
At Marion local. Patriot Publisher, a loyal supporter of ours. He's pretty sharp, assuming it's a he.
Yeah.
You'll
find out Monday. Patriot Publish where we're at on that. Find out Monday.
Dare
pick the upset.
Yeah, and if let's put it this way, if let's say Coldwater takes them to the edge, has them on the ropes, can they finish them?
Yeah, that's the thing. And I know Chip Otten's going to want to win the game, but there's nothing really riding on it.
Right.
I think both are pretty set in their playoff seeding now. Coldwater, it would really help their seeding, obviously.
Yeah.
Not much for Marion local to play for outside of an outright another MAC championship, which I will have them ready to play.
He will, and whenever that streak ends, if Tim Goodwin's still the head coach when it ends, Tim Goodwin will. Good game, coach.
And let me ask you this: would it be good for Marion local maybe to lose this game going into the postseason?
For
do you take the stress and everything on your shoulders with this long winning streak? Because we talk about it every week. Everybody else talks about it every week. The people in the Marion local community are talking about it every week.
Yeah.
Are you? If you're the coaches at Marion local, you're like, maybe if we lose one, we can just go to the playoffs and play for another state championship.
Right. And I would say for some teams, for some programs, that loss might be good for them. In this case, I don't think it matters either way. In this case,
okay,
because I think there'll be business as usual, no matter what. But I think that's a great question because there are times where a loss is what's needed to kind of recalibrate you. But I just think all their close calls this year are a direct result of, number one, wearing that bullseye, and number two, the parity in that league.
Right. Mike Kyle Shorn, the longtime veteran assistant at Tenora, says, take the bye, get a chance to see the next team live.
You want to talk about first-class guys?
Yeah, down in Alabama is Coach H.
Good
morning to you, Coach.
Good morning, Coach. A great leader of men.
Yes.
And I will tell you this real quick. Aaron George, who's now at Patrick Henry, I've never heard anyone speak as highly of someone as Aaron George speaks of Coach H. What a class act.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, for sure. Jay Brown, he'd like to win that 50-50 drawing between Coldwater and Marion local. So would a lot of us, Jay. Get in line.
Jay doesn't need to. His wife's an attorney.
There you go.
He'll tell you.
Patriot
It's his sugar mama.
Says, amen, Jay. Yeah. Maybe in the upwards of 20K take home again this season for that game.
Yeah, and you can buy them during the week.
Yeah, I know you can go to McSober's in Coldwater and get your 50-50 tickets. Wonder where Braden Martin was down in Mac Country. He started with the Minster Marion local game, but he moved over to Fort Recovery as they played Anna as the Flyers left no doubt early in that matchup. So they ventured over to for recovery for the ending of that one. I wonder where they went last night for their pregame and postgame, possibly
and
too.
postgame. I love those guys that are willing to travel anywhere
Yeah.
to see the best of the best. And there's more like them.
Right.
Brayton and Denny Martin are up there, but there's more like them, and that would be fun. What we do is fun,
right?
But that would be fun too.
Maybe we stop at Moeller Brew Barn, Fishmo's in St. Henry.
No maybes.
And McSober's. You just hit them all three.
Yeah, there's no maybes about it. That would be happening. As it is with what we do and what you do post game, getting ready for this morning, is we don't have as much time after the game. Now, we were fortunate to be able to stop at Ensign's Pub last night in Defiance.
Pre-game.
Pre-game, hot beef sandwiches. God. I was telling my son about that when I got home last night.
He's never been there?
He's never been there, and I was telling him about the hot beef sandwiches. He goes, Dad, I want to go there. I said, well, we can go anytime you want.
Yeah.
That was good.
Great staple in Defiance. Used to be Mags back in my day and before my day, and that's where you went after games. It was the only establishment to really go to back in the 80s.
I love
70s.
Because now everything is so commercialized with chains, right? Chain restaurants and that is one of the last standing old school. I know you have Kistner's downtown, which is historic too, but I used to go to sports and staple. And I used to go there with Scott Leonard and Bob George and Todd Peterson, that PH staff. Anytime we were in that neck of the woods, we'd go to Mags.
Okay.
And loved it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Hot beef challenge. The record right now is 10. You have 30 minutes. 30 minutes. And the guy that is leading it right now, we talked to Brandon Ensign, the owner of Ensign's Pub last night, and he said the guy came from Detroit. He's like a professional eater. He's like who's the hot dog guy? Kobayashi or whatever.
Joey Chestnut.
Or Joey Chestnut. Yeah.
And they also said he stopped at 10 because the record was 9. He said,
did it in like 10 and a half minutes.
He did. And he said that's almost a sandwich a minute. And he said he could have eaten probably 3 or 4 more is what he said. But he wanted to break the record and stop. And I've watched that guy's videos. He's taken on, 36-inch pizza challenges, calzones that weigh 12 pounds. I think, and I talked to Lynn and Normie Zeider and our good friend Rob Nepper from Ottawa Hills. I think I could make a run.
I don't think you could.
At the 10.
I don't think you could.
I think I could make a run.
No, I don't think you can.
So I had 2 last night, and I felt like I comfortably.
You have to go 9 more, buddy. 9 more.
I felt comfortable that I could have easily put 3 more away last night, but I didn't want to be
halfway
asleep
there.
And then I'm halfway. But if I could have easily put away 3 more, I know 6 through 10 is going to be a struggle.
You're not going to you'll get to about 7 or 8 and that'll be it for you. I don't think you can do it. Now I will throw a challenge.
If you get to 5, you're on the Wall of Fame.
Yes.
You got to break the record to get on the Wall of Fame t-shirt and get the sandwiches
now,
free.
If somebody goes to Ensign's Pub, I'll throw this out there.
All right.
If you can beat the 10, if you can beat the 10 hot beef challenge in 30 minutes, I will give you I have my my hoodie on today, but I'll get you a Black Swamp hoodie and 4 or 5 packs of cheddar brats here from American Freedom Energy. If you can get to 11 in 30 minutes. But I don't think there's anybody out there that can do it that is tuning into our show. 11 in 30 minutes. If you get that, I'll give you 5 packs of brats here from American Freedom Energy and a Black Swamp football hoodie.
What if I do it? Do I get that deal?
Sure. But you already have all that, and you can buy your own bratwurst. You're disqualified. But you can't. You can't get 11. I guarantee you don't get 11.
Anyone who knows me, Lynn, and
you can't do it.
But here's part of it.
But it took you like 15 minutes to eat those 2 last night.
Because
you got to do 11.
I had a big fat bag of chips and a glass of Mountain Dew. I would just have straight water, no side.
You don't have a chance, man.
Here's the key to it. It's not even as much how much you can eat. It's up here. Are you willing to make yourself miserable? That's half the battle, because you could do it. You could do it, but are you willing to feel the way you're
No,
going
I
to
don't
feel
wanna
when
feel
you're
like
done?
that.
See, I am. I'm willing to do it. And but you got to be just right. When I'm hungriest in my whole life, when I'm hungriest is when I get home from school. I'll go on an eating binge when I walk in the house, man.
Okay. 10, they showed us. It's a whole pack of buns. Just
It is.
buns, dude.
I know.
It's a whole pack of just bread.
I know.
And
But
then you got all the hot beef.
if I did it, it's going to be at 4 o'clock in the
You'll
afternoon.
never do
I
it.
am so hungry
You'll
at
never
4
do it.
o'clock, Lynn. I could eat. I might set a record that's unreachable if I did it at 4
You
o'clock.
can't do it.
Well-
You're going to get about 6 or 8, and that'll be it. Your sister says you can do it, but I don't think you can. We'll set this up, but I think there's other people. I don't know that there's anybody out there because this guy was he's a competitive eater.
Yes, he
There's
is.
nobody that's going to do it. Maybe those Rope twins from Lima Bath could come up and do it.
But he's a competitive eater, but he stopped at 10. The question is, if I did 11, would he come back from Motown
Probably
to try to beat it?
Smoke you.
Lynn, we were at I was with, and I think Scott Army might have been with me. We were at Arby's, and I said, I got a giant roast beef. Okay, and they're big, right? Half pound or something. And I said, I could eat 3 or 4 of these. And we bet whether I could or not. I can't remember the whole rest of the story, but I could have easily.
Yeah.
And so these hot beef sandwiches, I think I saw in the video yesterday because I watched this guy break the record. I think it said they're basically a quarter pound.
Okay.
A quarter pound of beef. And I've eaten 3 pounds of beef before. Prime rib. So it can be done, but the bread will get you.
The bread's the issue, man.
Do I do what Chestnut does? Do I take the bun off, dip it in water, and then just grab the meat and shove it in?
I don't know. You can do however you want, but I don't think you can do it. Tracy says you can, but I don't think you can. Mercer
Thank
to
you,
Mercer
sis.
says someday you got to grab a pregame beverage at Corner Cafe in Maria Stein and walk across the street for a game versus Coldwater. Should be a bucket list for any local football fan. I agree.
Corner Cafe?
Corner Cafe in Maria Stein.
I would do it in a heartbeat. It's right by the stadium.
Must be.
He said walk across
the street for a game versus Coldwater.
I would do that. I would love to do that. Yeah, we're all over the place this morning,
Yeah,
but I think it's important. It's got to be more than just football.
It has to be.
Lynn.
Yeah, food's an important part of the Black Swamp football crew.
I appreciate my sister having my back. She knows darn well
She said
could.
you can eat an entire king prime rib.
Yes, easily with double fries and multiple beverages to wash it down.
All right. I think you just need to cool your jets. Cool your jets here, Strock, because we stopped at Legends last year after a playoff game, and you thought you could eat like 2 dozen wings and a large pizza. No.
Yeah, I didn't have anything to prove or anything to win.
Okay.
Right. You know.
Well, if there's somebody out there that wants to go to Enzine's Pub in Defiance and win the hot beef challenge, Black Swamp hoodie,
that'd be
and
worth it.
5 packs of brats here from American Freedom Energy.
God, that'd be worth it.
You're disqualified because I don't want anybody thinking that you cheated or something.
All right.
We maybe have to video it to prove it. If you can do it on video, then maybe I'll allow you to have a hoodie, but you already have, and you can afford all the cheddar brats you want out here.
If I go do it though, you'll be with me, and so will Normie Zider.
Yeah,
I can tell you that.
Yep, absolutely. All right, back to the MAC here. Where are we at? Delphus St. John's and Parkway, right, Coach?
Yes, sir.
Delphus St. John's picked up their first win, 48-13 over Parkway. Last night, Christian Young ran for 145 and 3 scores to pace Delphus St. John's. Riley Mueller added 141 yards and 2 scores. Parkway, now winless, was held to 24 yards rushing on 14 attempts, and they threw for 155. But Delphus St. John's and Coach Schulte get win number 1 this season over Parkway. Also in the MAC, St. Henry 20-0 over New Bremen. The Redskins win that one heading into Week 10. I don't have any stats yet from that St. Henry game from a night ago, but the Redskins and Marion Local are on a collision course in the regional championship, probably.
Can you imagine that ticket?
Oh. Maybe the game of the year, as Brady Stabler says, in the state of Ohio. As far as small school football goes, it will be, if that comes to fruition, and I would assume it's going to.
Yeah, they'll be 1-2. There'll be 1-2 in the region, and wow,
That'll be a heck of a crowd.
Yeah,
I don't see anybody else even with a chance of upsetting either one of those two. Right? That'll be the de facto state championship game in the regional final.
Isn't that something from the same conference?
Yeah,
and it will be. I'm looking at the rest of that region, and
Walpock, maybe a likely chance for that one. Maybe Lima Stadium down there.
Walpock would probably be the early leader.
They maybe go down to Sydney. That's a big stadium too.
Sydney is actually what I was going to say, Lynn.
Nice stadium too.
Yes, it is. Yes, Sydney
hold that crowd. Northwest Conference. How about Columbus Grove? They just are rolling right now. 33-25 over LCC at Spartan Stadium. Secured at least a piece of its third consecutive Northwest Conference championship, handing the Thunderbirds their first loss this season. Trevin Baxter set a school record with 18 catches, breaking Cody Moning's record of 10 against Liberty Center in 1999. Baxter also set a new career receptions mark at Columbus Grove with 103, breaking Zach Reynolds' record of 91. He also set the single season record with a current reception total of 52 grabs for 710 yards and 8 scores. The single season record was 50, set in 2023 by Zach Reynolds. Landon Best, fantastic night for the senior quarterback. 23 of 24, 221 yards, 3 scores. Baxter had 172. Gavin Barraza had 5 grabs for 49 and 2 scores. LCC put up 370, and Grove had 253. Grove can win an outright NWC crown by beating Bluffton at Clymer Stadium next week. The Bulldogs have won their last 8 against the Pirates, as Bluffton will roll into there, and going to be a little mental block for Bluffton. They just have not been able to beat Grove in anything.
I got to decide, not even basketball. When Grove's playing basketball, just to kind of stay in shape for football, and Bluffton's like, we're going to get them, and Grove beats them in hoops too. And I got to decide who I'm going to pick in that one. I'll be thinking about that this weekend.
Well, you always pick the Pirates. Are you going to stray from Jeff Richards and crew?
I mean, the probabilities say Bluffton's got to eventually win,
At
right?
some point they do. Maybe.
I wonder, Baxter, 18 receptions for Trevin Baxter. I wonder how many of those were just quick nows or bubbles.
Had to be. Yeah.
That's unbelievable. And Trevin Baxter's unreal. How about Landon Best? 23 of 24. Unbelievably efficient. Mm-hmm. And that's just Columbus Grove getting the ball in space to their playmakers, and then letting them create in space. And that's a huge win. And what's crazy, they, a few weeks ago, we're going, is Grove going to play postseason football? They locked it up last night. They're 100% in no matter what happens this week. The only thing left to decide is their seed. And you said it, though, Lynn, mental block.
Yeah. Can
the Pirates overcome it? And then here's the thing. They got to go to Clymer Stadium.
Yes.
And
played them tough there 2 years ago.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
But, boy, Grove has had their number. Thank you to Jeremy Hess down there in the Maria Stein community. He says Mitch Schmackers is a cousin of Andrew Schmacker's dad. He also said Corner Cafe has their walls covered in Marion local history. Great food, easy walk to the stadium for pregame, halftime, or postgame.
Maybe we'll have halftime.
Maybe we'll have to meet Jeremy down there sometime and have a couple Pepsis.
I would love.
We'll even buy Jeremy.
Absolutely, and I would love to have a couple Pepsis there. I'll bet you. You remember he said halftime also. You remember last year we're at Lima Stadium.
That is right.
And Marion Local was playing Grove, and it was halftime, and there was a group of Flyer fans that came in like a bus?
A little short bus, mini bus.
Yeah, a little mini bus, party bus, and some of those folks hightailed it out there. I'm sure they just went in there to get warmed up.
I think they went in there to get hot chocolate. Yeah, that's what I would have done.
Coffee or cocoa.
Yeah,
is what they did. But
because I was freezing, I'm sure they were cold too.
I even had a heated vest on, and that was brutal that night.
Oh yeah, you had that. Yeah, you did. You had that battery operated.
Yeah.
Jeez, you're soft,
Yeah.
Strock.
Yeah.
You wear that thing again this year, you're not going with me. Because that brings Black Swamp football down. We look soft when you roll in with that.
I won't let
And you
him.
got those, and then you got those hand warmers.
Yep.
Come on.
Yep. I'll tell you what, man. Work smarter, not harder. You got to be smart. Take advantage of the technology now. Back in the day when the old timers were out cutting wood, they didn't have buttons to push to turn their heat on, did they?
No.
The pioneers.
Come on, man. Jeez. We'll break down that Columbus Grove Bluffton game in more detail on Monday's podcast, and look forward to recapping that one next week. NWAL from a night ago, Patrick Henry, no problem with winless Swanton, 40-0 Patriots in that one. PH led 41-0 at the half in that one and had no problem handling Swanton, who was lost 36 straight now. Trent Johnson caught 5 passes, 101 yards and 2 scores. Jaden Rudder had 115 yards rushing, 2 scores on just 9 carries. Cal Schrader, Clay Giesecke, and Mitch Prigge also had scores for PH last night. Swanton was limited to 123 yards on 46 snaps. And that one, no surprise there, as Patrick Henry rolls over the winless Bulldogs. How about Delta? Man, they smacked Evergreen 50-6 last night. Had 219 yards to 142 for Evergreen. Marcus Nagel powered the Panthers with 154 yards on the ground and 6 touchdowns, half a dozen trips to pay dirt for Marcus Nagel last night. Bryce Bolger was the leader for Evergreen. He threw for 157 yards. But Delta, that was that score surprised me a little bit as the Panthers got on track.
Yeah, I think Delta, I think made it clear that they're the top of that next tier after Liberty Center, Archbold, and PH. Mm-hmm. I think Delta's clearly in that next tier. And Patrick Henry is one of those teams, Lynn, you just mentioned a minute ago. Patrick Henry's one of those teams that could win Region 22. They could. Now there's 4 others that could win it, but Patrick Henry's really looks like they're going to be locked in that number 8 seed, and they've got as good.
Who's going to be the top seed?
The top seed is going to be Castelia Margaretta.
Okay.
Hopewell
so
Loudon
would be who they would play in round 2, PH on
the
road.
Yeah, and Margaretta's good. Margaretta's only loss was to Vermilion in week 1. They lost 21-20. So Margaretta's the real deal. But Patrick Henry, if you've never played them, never seen them, and I don't think Margaretta ever has, preparing for them in a week, oh my goodness, is tough. So
can you give me where Delta and Evergreen moved to after last night's festivities, Coach?
Yep, sure can. Sure can here. Excuse me.
Delta is now 13th.
There you go.
Right now in Region 18, where
Liberty,
see what their aspirations are as far as seeding probability.
Yep. So they have a 47% chance to finish 12th, 41% chance out.
Okay.
And so that's a definition of on the bubble, right?
Right.
And who's Delta got this week, Lynn?
Delta has.
I'll tell you in a second here.
Slipping my mind. You're going to have to help me.
Yeah,
out,
I
Coach.
got you. Okay, Brian.
Okay.
So I like, oh boy, it's like almost 50-50.
Yeah.
Because they're going to beat Brian.
Yep.
And it's 50-50. So I'll tell you what they're going to need. And it's going to be one of those weird matchups. They need LaGrange Keystone to lose to Lorraine Clearview. They need Port Clinton to lose to Sandusky, which I don't think is going to happen. But so they might need a little help.
Right.
But they're going to be right there on the bubble.
Yeah. Evergreen, they're going to need some help. They're going to have to beat Patrick Henry at home, and their seeding probability is 78% out, 22% if as the 12 seed for the Vikings.
Interesting.
So on the outside looking in.
It'll be a tall order. They do have the Patriots at home, but Bill Inselman will have the Patriots playing at fever pitch in that game.
No doubt about that. Archbold 37-10 over Bryan last night. Streak set up a winner-take-all NWL championship at Blue Streak Stadium next week against Liberty Center. The Streaks are actually the last team to beat the Tigers back in 2021. DJ Newman and crew. Remember that night? Boy, did they roll over the Tigers in that one. But since then, the Tigers have been rolling. Archibald now 8-1, 6-0 in the NWL. Put up 440 yards of offense while holding the Golden Bears to 193. Ryder Ryan, 150 rushing, 2 scores. Aringer Krieger, 6 catches, 104 receiving, 1 touchdown. Maddox Penner was 15-24, 241 yards, 2 scores to lead the Archibald attack. Brian, now 2-7, 1-5, was led by Cade Carlin with 65 yards rushing and 1 score, but Archibald picks up the win. Speaking of Liberty Center, 56-0 over Waseon last night, as the Indians were no match for the Tigers at Rex Lindgren Stadium and Kip Kern Field. Liberty Center limited Waseon to 27 yards on 23 rushing attempts as the Tigers continue to roll. LC ran for 179 on 25 carries, threw for 75. Garrison Cruz went over 1,000 yards on the season with 105 yards and 2 scores, 9 totes in that one. To pace Liberty Center, Thomas Muller tacked on 64 yards and 2 trips to pay dirt. LC has now won 33 straight league games and can wrap up a 4th consecutive outright league title at Archibald next week. LC has now allowed 34 points through the first 9 weeks as they go to Blue Streak Stadium next week for a big one, and that should be a packed house there for that matchup.
I look forward to talking about that on Monday, Lynn. So Archibald, win or lose, if they beat Liberty Center, they'll win their region. If they lose, they're still locked in that number 3 spot. So they have a bye either way. But
yeah,
will be interesting to break that one down. Liberty Center, I guarantee you, is looking forward to having a competitive football game. And those starters are going to be salivating because they want to play 4 quarters of football. And it's going to be fun.
Garrison Cruz has won over 1,000 yards this season with just 76.
It's over 10 yards a carry, buddy.
Oh, yeah. He's way up there. 76 carries, over 1,000 yards this season.
You know, looking at the averages, yards per carry, another kid that we saw a few weeks ago is in Garrison Cruz territory with yards per carry. Zach Ruddy from Whiteford.
Yeah, Breck Ruddy.
Yeah. Breck Ruddy. Too many Ruddys. He's in that territory, which is just outrageous. What could he do with, if he was getting 25, 30 totes a game?
Absolutely.
He'd set records that'll never be reached.
Yeah. Northern Buckeye Conference, Eastwood no issue with Lake last night, 42-7 Eagles. And that one, they were efficient, 169 rushing, 150 through the air to bounce back from that setback to Genoa last week. Trace Johnson ran for 120 of the rushing yards, also hit pay dirt, while Braden Ludhart caught 5 passes for 72 yards and a score. Cam Shoemaker added 1 receiving score and completed both passes he attempted in that one, which went for scores. Brady Ramlow tacked on 2 receiving scores, and Drew Ludhart was 10 of 19 passing for 129 yards and 2 touchdowns himself. Lake fell to 2-7 and 2-4 in the NBC. Genoa, they rolled over Fostoria 49-7. The Comets won their 8th straight and earned at least a share of their first NBC crown since 2018. So congratulations to Bill Fisher and the Comets rolling here in the late season. Lost to Archibald in week 1 and have not lost since, have the Comets.
All I can say is what you just said. Congratulations, Coach Fisher. Well deserved. You got to earn it.
Yep.
You got to earn it in that league. And congrats to Genoa. They're going to probably, they're number 2, I think, right now behind Liberty Center in Region 18. Eastwood, who you mentioned a minute ago, Lynn, they don't have a gimme this week. They've got the Maumee Panthers.
Yeah. Have to keep their antennas up for that one. Region 18, Coach. Liberty Center, 95% chance to be the top seed. Worcester Triway, 87% chance to be the number 2 seed. Genoa likely going to be the 3 seed, 90% chance there. And then Liberty Benton, 61% to be the 4 seed there in Region 18. But if you're looking at those, you're trying to figure out the regional semifinals. So if that whole held true, Liberty Center and Liberty Benton would play in the regional semis, which would be at Rex Lindgren Stadium, Kip Kern Field, just down the road. If you're Liberty Benton, you probably want that game on a neutral site.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
you do.
A lot to happen for Liberty Benton not to be the 4 seed. 34% chance they could be the 5 seed. Norwayne looks like they're going to be 32% chance as the 4 seed, 32% as the 6 seed. Milan Edison, 40% chance to be the 5 seed, 27 to be the 6. Eastwood, their highest percentage chance will be the 7 seed, 43%, 31% to be the 8 seed. You want to stay out of that 8-9 matchup because then you're going to have Liberty Center coming off of a bye, and there'll be an angry bunch coming into that regional quarter final. Oak Harbor looks like they will be the 9 seed there in Region 18 if things hold true. Fredericktown, the Freddies, 56% chance to be the 10 seed. Port Clinton and Keystone are the other teams that would grab a spot in the last couple spots. Delta, 47% chance to be the 12 seed there in Region 18. Those are the only teams that are left. Otsego, Utica, Northwood, Wellington, Northridge, Lake, Willard, Coshocton, Waynedale, Northwestern, Fostoria, Riverview, and Swanton, all 100% chance to be out going into week number 10.
Boy, Delta's, of all the teams in our coverage area, they're probably the most on the bubble.
Yep.
Almost 50-50, almost 50-50.
Yeah, and they would be in that 12 range likely. Highest percentage, 12% chance to be the 11 seed. So gonna have to go on the road to the 5th seed, which right now looks like Norwayne.
You remember that shootout Delta had with Norwayne last year?
That's right. Yeah, maybe Milan Edison, who we saw a year ago too.
And Delta can play with anybody outside of the NWAL in that region. Right. I guarantee you.
Right. Also, in the NBC, a night ago, Otsego 21-6 over Rossford. All the scoring was done in the first half after Otsego tallied the first 21 points. Chris Kazmaier had 165 yards. He had a big workload, 32 lugs last night. He had a long of 15 yards, so they just kind of 2, 3, 4, 5 yards, it looked like, all night for Otsego, who is now 4-5. Keegan Hutton added the other 2 scores on runs for the Knights. Jackson Drewsbach, 114 yards rushing for Rossford, and that one, and rounding out the NBC a night ago, Oak Harbor 69, Maumee 36. The 2 teams combined for 1,184 yards, with the Rockets outgaining the Panthers 653 to 531. Oak Harbor ran for 428 yards. Blake Nickel had 222 of those. Brennan Bootson had 4 touchdowns. Wyatt Augsburger and Cooper Schultz both had 102 yards receiving for Oak Harbor. Cohen Jones ran for 103 for Maumee. Ben Kubitz was 15-30, 334 yards, 3 touchdowns. Eli Dodson caught 5 passes for 106 yards in that one, Coach.
So for Maumee, Lynn, it's pretty simple. Win and you're in. Division 3, Region 10, I believe. Win and you're in. Lose and you're out. That's it. So going to be a tall order against Eastwood, but they have a chance. They control their own fate, and Maumee's dangerous.
Yeah.
Maumee's dangerous.
Can they play defense, though?
Can they play defense? Boy, those numbers.
They have some offensive weapons.
Yep.
Blanchard Valley Conference last night. Liberty Benton Seth Elkert set a new state record with 44 straight games with a catch. The outstanding receiver for the Eagles headed to the University of Toledo next season, but Liberty Benton rolled Arcadia 44-6. Liberty Benton stays perfect. They've had a running clock on not all 9 opponents this season, added to its BVC winning streak with its 22nd straight in the conference, another shellacking of a conference foe. Zach Elkert ran for 104 yards on 7 totes and scored 3 times to push his season total to 14. Connor Barbaro was 6-9 passing, 81 yards and a touchdown, while Seth Elkert had his 16th touchdown in that one as he hauled in one. Arcadia mustered only 61 yards of total offense on 60 plays, including 57 yards rushing on 24 attempts. But the BVC is completely overmatched in Liberty Benton. We'll find out about what Liberty Benton is made of when they play Liberty Center, probably in the regional semifinals. That's going to be their probably toughest test.
It will, Lynn, and I will tell you this, something that I think will fuel Liberty Benton, it would fuel me, is I would be so sick and tired of hearing about how I haven't played anybody, you know? And they have just overwhelmed the rest of that league. You're 100% right. And the beautiful thing is about playoff football, they're going to have a chance to prove it.
Yep, they
and
sure are.
We'll look forward to it.
Yeah, congratulations to South Elkert on that state record, 44 straight games with the catch. That's pretty darn impressive.
Yeah, it is.
Van Buren rolled over Elmwood 41-0. No stats from that one. Pandora Gilboa 41-6 over Ada. The Rockets limited the Bulldogs to 133 total yards and coasted on the road with 157 passing, 146 rushing. Corey Girton 12 of 15 passing, 157 yards and 2 scores to pace PG. Ben Burkholder added 88 yards and 1 score on 11 totes in that one. Corey Girton set a new passing record at PG. He is now up to 6,406 career passing yards, broke the record held by Jared Brees, who had 6,350 yards. So congratulations to Corey Girton on breaking the Pandora Gilboa passing mark in that victory last night.
Yeah, congratulations to that young man. That's no easy task.
That's a team that beat Columbus Grove back in week 1.
That's correct. Yeah, they
don't forget about that.
No, they just kind of fly under the radar there in that region with Lima Central Catholic and Lipsick, and now Lipsick beat Pandora Gilboa a few weeks ago in a close game. But it looks like the Rockets, high probability they're going to finish around that 7 spot.
Okay,
the way it looks. Yeah. Edgerton right behind
them.
Could
we see a Columbus Grove Pandora Gilboa rematch in the playoffs, Coach?
We could, and if you're Columbus Grove, you would love that.
I think they'd be hungry for that one, wouldn't they?
Oh, they would. And if you're Pandora Gilboa, you don't want that.
Yeah.
Just telling you.
Yeah, I don't think they would want that either. LCC, 94% chance to be the 1 seed there in Region 26. North Baltimore likely going to be the 2. Lipsick, likely the 3. Mohawk, probably the 4 seed. Gibsonburg in that 5-6 range. Columbus Grove, likely going to be the 5 seed. 8% chance to be the 4 seed, so they'll need some things to happen in front of them to get into the bye range. Curious what Andy Schaefer would think about getting a bye or playing in the 5-12 game.
He'd tell us.
Yeah.
You have and we'll get into this, I know. You have a favorite right now off the top of your head to win that region? Is it Grove or is it LCC?
I think it's got to be Columbus Grove the way they're playing right now. I don't know what it is that coaching staff does late in seasons, but they had that bout a couple years ago where they started 1-2 and got shellacked at Patrick Henry and went on a run, and they're doing it again this season. I don't know if you could figure out what it is. I'm sure Andy Schaefer could sell it, but he does a great job. They were 0-3, and I think a lot of people kind of counted them out, but they're right back, and they're rolling. Lipsick, speaking of the Vikings, 37-6 over Arlington last night. Vikings led 37-0 before the Red Devils scored midway through the final stanza. Avery Paris, 132 yards and a touchdown. Receiving, Mark Kirkendall threw for 230 and a TD, 14 of 19 passing. Aaron Hazelton, 9 rushes, 36 yards, found the end zone 3 times to lead Lipsick to the victory, who is now 8-1 and 6-1 in the BVC are the Vikings.
I'd like to know if Aaron Hazelton is Beaver Hazelton's son. We've got some Lipsick guys that tune in from time to time. I want to know who Aaron Hazelton's
I'll keep track of the comments here.
I don't think it's
somebody from Putnam County can help us out there.
Here's the great thing about Putnam County, Lynn. Everybody has a nickname. So I don't think it's Skid, Hazelton's son.
Okay.
I think it could be Beavers. Skid and
Okay.
Beaver. Skid and Beaver are brothers.
Okay.
And Beaver lives right on the edge of West Lipsick when you're
Okay.
coming in
Okay.
from the west going east.
Okay.
And
All
Beaver
right.
has a nice remodeled house there.
Good insight. Jeremy Hess, he says Pepsi's would be good. We agree, Jeremy. Boy, Hess is a name that you've heard a lot of over the years. I bet he's got some history.
Yeah.
This is Jeremy in the Marion local community.
He might buy us a Pepsi if we venture
you think
down
he would?
there. I think he would.
Well, we may have to set that up. We got a lot of places to stop in Mac Country, Coach.
You know what I think we need to do, Lynn, when this season's over? It's hard to do during the season. When the season's over, we just go on a tour.
Could do that.
Just go on a tour. Yeah. Seriously, take a weekend, go on a tour.
Are we going to need more than a weekend, though?
Glenn Badenhop would probably come with us.
Yeah.
He can drive us. He's got experience driving.
He can drive.
I want to do it.
But Glenn would have to stay away from drinking Pepsis with us.
That's true.
He says he can.
He's disciplined.
He's disciplined.
Hopper's disciplined.
He says he can, but great stuff. Catholic High School League from a night ago, Central Division. Warren De La Salle whopped St. John's Jesuit 48-22. I don't have any stats to report from that one, but Warren De La Salle took it to St. John's, and the Titans sputtering a little bit as we go into the late season. Northern Lakes League Buckeye Division, Findlay rolled over Northview 42-7. No stats from that one either, but the surprise of the night in the NLL Buckeye and around the area and maybe even around the state was Clay picking up a 29-28 victory over Whitmer at home. Clay upset Whitmer for the Little Brown Jug for the first time in 18 tries and the first time in 20 years. Brody Ostrander caught a 9-yard touchdown from Landon Eccleberry with 1:13 left. Coach Pennington decided to go for two. Ostrander caught the game-winning 2-point attempt from Eccleberry to win it for Clay 29-28. The Eagles trailed 28-14 with 10:21 left after a Jaden Jones touchdown of 43 yards, a quarter after romping to the end zone on a 46-yard run Jaden Jones had. Jones piled up 214 yards on 24 attempts. Here's some stats for you here, Coach. Pay attention.
All right.
Whitmer had 409 yards on just 58 plays. They ran for 266 on 35 attempts. Here is where it gets really interesting. Tell me if you've ever heard of this. Whitmer was derailed by 22. That's 2 penalties last night. Clay had 291 yards. And here's another one for you that I've never heard of in high school football. 291 yards on 85 offensive snaps.
That's not 85. A misprint.
And that's what it said in the stats. Eccleberry ran for 70 yards in a score while throwing for 202 and 2 scores. Ostrander had 50 yards and 2 touchdowns on 9 snags. 22 penalties for one team, and Clay ran 85 plays offensively. Have you ever heard of that?
No, neither of those, Lynn. When I hear a team was penalized 10 times, it blows my mind. Okay. 22. I would like to know the nature of those penalties. You know, were they pre-snap? Were they post-snap? Were they holding?
But you look at the total. Whitmer had 409 yards to 291 and still lost.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I tell you, Clay, now they with that win, they locked up a playoff spot. They're going to beat Northview this coming week.
Yeah. And are they at home?
Clay
did they get the top 4 in a bye?
I don't think so. I just had the page up. There it is. No. They are going to be 7 or 8.
Okay.
7 or 8. But geez, oh Pete. Wadsworth is really good. So is Medina Highland in that region. Avon.
Yeah.
They'll be probably the 2 or 3 seed.
Yeah. Okay.
Tough region there. AW's in there.
Our good friend Ned Steckschulte said if Seneca East beats Mohawk, Columbus Grove will move up to the 4 seed. Thank you, Ned, for crunching the numbers for us.
Yeah, Mohawks, what are they, 8-1, 9-0, I think.
I think so.
And they're pretty
think
good.
So, did they play Ayersville early in the season?
They did.
Right?
They did,
in
actually.
the non-conference game. Also in the NLL Buckeye division from a night ago, Perrysburg 24, Anthony Wayne 3. Coupled with Whitmer's loss to Clay, Perrysburg took over the top spot in the division and secured at least a share of the crown. The Jackets, which play at Whitmer next week, also snapped a 2-game skid to AW, which was held to 169 yards, -7 rushing against that Jackets defense. Brady Maxwell, 21 keepers, 97 yards, and 2 scores at quarterback to pace Perrysburg. Liam Nowakowski had a 1-yard touchdown plunge for the other Jackets score. Porter Brungard of Anthony Wayne, 16-30 passing, 176 yards in the setback. But the Whitmer-Perrysburg game lost a little bit of luster because it's not a winner-take-all. Now Whitmer can get a piece of the title, but see where Whitmer is at psychologically next week after that loss to Clay a night ago.
So that game's at Whitmer.
At Whitmer. Yes.
That's razor thin. The early line by Fantastic 50 likes Perrysburg by 2. By two after last night's loss.
Okay.
Looks like Perrysburg is they could be anywhere from 3 to 5.
Okay.
Depending on how that game goes. They'll host, or I'm sorry, they'll get a bye because Whitmer's in the 5 spot right behind them in the same playoff region. Perrysburg's 4th, Whitmer's 5th.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, be a big game though for Perrysburg and Whitmer, and that one is both. Sure they'll be ready to roll.
If you're Perrysburg though, you didn't like to see Clay beating Whitmer last night.
Justin Keller will regroup that group of his. A lot of teaching moments with 22 penalties.
Yep. Yeah, that is something else right there.
There's a couple stats I've never seen in high school football.
No.
Sometimes you see college teams with the longer quarters,
right,
80-some plays, but holy smokes, time did that game get over?
Yeah, high school, you're around 50, 55 maybe. It varies, but that's gaudy.
Just outlier stats from that one. Northern Lakes League, the Cardinal division. How about the defensive slugfest at Fremont last night as Napoleon picked up a 7-0 victory over the Little Giants to secure their first conference title since 2012. They have won the Cardinal division title outright. Napoleon ran for 164 yards while not completing a pass. They attempted 5 in that one, but did not complete any. Hayden Groll, 110 yards rushing, and the lone touchdown to power Napoleon as they scored in the waning minutes of that one at Don Paul Stadium. Fremont Ross was held to 170 yards as Napoleon continues to play well here late in the season.
Yeah, that's never an easy place to win, Lynn, Don Paul Stadium. And, boy, I talked to Tyler Swery on Friday at school, and he said Fremont Ross's defense is really, really good.
Yeah, they showed it.
And they showed it. And Napoleon was able to get in, it looks like, gauging by the stats, able to get in a rhythm in that fourth quarter and then just grind out some yards. No passing yards. All done on the ground. So congratulations. They went 4-0 in their division. And so congratulations to the Wildcats and finding a way. I'm telling you, it's tough to beat Fremont Ross at Fremont Ross. That's a big win.
Yeah, Napoleon likely going to be the 3 seed, 76% chance according to Ohio Fantastic. 58% chance to be the 2, 15% chance to be the 4, and they have a 1% chance to be the 5 seed. So Napoleon going to have a bye, it looks like, going into the Region 14 playoffs. Shelby, Galleon, Napoleon, Bath. Then you have Bellevue, who is always tough. Sandusky, Perkins, who you cannot count out with what they did a year ago, state runner-up finish, and a few of their guys back from that team a season ago. But Region 14 is going to be fun to pay attention to.
This guy.
What a goofball.
Oh, boy.
You never know who's going to show up here at American Energy on a Saturday morning.
Just don't, man.
That was Napoleon's first conference title since 2012 when you coached the Wildcats to the Big Boy NLL championship. A little different now than what you had to go up against in your coaching days. You had to beat Anthony Wayne and the Perrysburgs.
Yes, and when we did that year, Lynn, it was back-to-back weeks. Beat Anthony or Perrysburg in overtime, Anthony Wayne in double overtime. So winning a 4-game division, little different than the old NLL. I can tell you that.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Also in the Cardinal division last night, Southview picked up a 22-7 victory at home over Bowling Green. Southview now 2-8, 1-2 in the conference, won its first game since opening night when they beat Northview. Held the Bobcats to 59 yards rushing on 23 attempts. Jackson Hesse fired touchdowns to Benjamin Dykes and another to Mo McArthur, who also had a 1-yard touchdown plunge for Southview. But Southview picks up their first win since week 1 over BG last night.
You know, I tip my cap to Steve Hardy. It's been a tough season, you know, and then on top of that, they go through that gauntlet, and that was one that I thought was a coin flip game last night, Lynn, and tickled for Coach Hardy, something to build on, you know, going into week 10 and then into the offseason there for the Cougars.
Yeah. Jay Brown said both teams had only 2 possessions in the second half in that Napoleon Fremont Ross game last night.
That's
crazy.
It is crazy. That's a great number, and it just ends up, you know, being a chess match, and you're, you know, punting, trying to flip the field, and just credit to the Napoleon coaches for finding the mix on their final drive there.
Yeah, Napoleon got the win there. Tack action from a night ago. How about this one? Montpelier and North Central put up a bunch of points, 56-42 locomotives in that one. Carter Meek tied his school record with 5 rushing touchdowns in a shootout win over the Eagles. He had 222 yards rushing on 26 totes. And that one, quarterback Hayden Sharps added 100 yards rushing and 199 through the air, accounting for 3 touchdowns overall. Jackson Stoller had 7 and added 85 yards on 5 grabs for Montpelier. Both had touchdowns for Montpelier, who is now 6-3 and 5-1.
This guy.
Thank you to our good friend Ryan Zeider for helping you out there with filling up your coffee cup. Where's Montpelier in the Region 26 standings now, Coach? And where's their probability at?
How about Ryan Zeider though? As I'm
he's shaking our camera though.
26.
Get off my table, Zeider. People out there, why is your camera shaking?
So, so the Montpelier Locomotives, big one this week with Eden, Lynn. They're currently sitting at number 10.
Okay.
Currently sitting at number 10. And I'm going to look at the Fantastic 50, 26 probabilities. All right. So I'll tell you, the Locos, 37% chance, number 11, 24% chance, 12.
Okay.
So Locos got to like where they're at. We'll take a look at the win-loss. With a win, 100% in.
Okay.
Okay. With a loss, 82% in.
Okay.
So the prospects look good for the Locos. It's going to be a tall order trying to slow down that Eden offense.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about that. Eden has Hilltop at home tonight, playing on a Saturday. Tonight, yes. There was some scheduling issues with officials in the TAC, and some of their games got moved to Saturday. How'd Ryan do with that cup of Joe?
Did good. It's better than the previous one I had.
Maybe he spit in it. I wouldn't put it by him.
If he did, it improved the taste. That's nice and rich.
Yeah,
did you brew that for me too, Ryan? But I guarantee Coach Robinson and his crew, they're going to be there live scouting the Bombers tonight.
I'm sure they will. Ottawa Hills, they rolled over Erie Mason in the Village last night, 56-8, ended a 4-game skid while pummeling the winless Erie Mason squad. Ian Densmore, 233 yards and 4 touchdowns on 23 attempts to power the Green Bears, who are now 3-6, 2-4 in the TAC. Let's round out this week's show with the Green Meadows Conference. Edgerton 35-12 over Hicksville. The Aces actually outgained the Bulldogs, but 4 turnovers derailed the hosts in that upset bid. Edgerton had 121 rushing, 153 passing. Parker Eldon had 80 yards receiving to pace the Bulldogs and also scored 2 touchdowns. Colin Lavelle had a big night for Hicksville, 180 yards rushing on 24 attempts. He had a touchdown along with Cross Zedike for the Aces, but Edgerton picks up the win. We'll get to the end of the GMC slate, and you'll give me the Region 26 and Region 22, where Fairview and Paulding are residing. After
Sounds
we
good.
get through these here, Coach.
Sounds
Ayersville
good.
got the win over Antwerp 20-15 on the road. Dane Ewers returned to kickoff 87 yards with 4:03 left to lift the Pilots at Antwerp. He also had a 40-yard touchdown run, and Tucker Sproul had a TD run for the Pilots as they picked up their second win. Antwerp had 239 yards, 10 more than Ayersville's 229. Kane Hines hauled in 4 passes, 73 yards, and a touchdown. Hampton Rogie had an interception return for the other Antwerp score, but Ayersville picks up the win. The Apaches of Fairview pulled away from Wayne Trace with 28 points in the third stanza after leading just 9-7 at the half. William Zedek, 307 yards passing, 3 scores, 25 of 35 was Zedek through the air. Logan Olinger, 8 catches, 83 yards, a touchdown. Gavin Mead, 83 yards on 7 catches. And Brody Williams had a touchdown as well, along with Gavin Mead. Zach Stoller caught a touchdown, and Reese Moorhead threw for 131 yards for the Raiders in that one. And then the big one was Paulding and Tenora, as Paulding wrapped up their first conference title since 1988 when they won the NWC. Panthers now 9-0, 6-0 in the GMC, can post their first 10-0 season since that same 1988 season with a home win over Antwerp next Friday. Colt Hunt, 16-27 passing in the win, 234 yards and a quartet of touchdowns. Jordan Mans, 9 catches, 214 yards, and 3 scores as he was a problem for the green and white. Tenora had its 4-game winning streak snapped, and any possibility for Tenora to get a piece of the GMC title was also ended with Paulding rolling on the road. Decisive victory for the Panthers. Congratulations to Jim Menzie and the Paulding team and that community. They sure deserve it.
Well, it's hard to go undefeated in any sport any year, but it's that consistency to me tells me that coaching staff did a fantastic job of keeping those kids grounded and focused all year. And it doesn't hurt when you have a nucleus of athletes like Paulding does this year, man. And it appears, Lynn, just by looking at the weekly recaps, they've stayed relatively healthy at key positions.
Yeah, they have. Yep. Yeah, they sure have. Paulding is now 4th in Region 22, Division 6. Fairview is 6th right now. They both have clinched a playoff spot. Give me their percentages if you have that pulled up for me.
22?
Yep, Region 22, please.
Yep. All right, Paulding, 75% locked in that 3 spot. Okay, and then Fairview, it's about 50-50 in that 5-6 slot.
Okay.
About 50-50. And then
does Fairview have any chance of getting a bye? Or are their percentages all
1% chance?
Okay.
1%.
Okay.
You know, it's interesting. The Tenora, now they're 72% out, but they do have, you know, almost a 30% chance of maybe sneaking in, but they'd need a lot of help.
Yeah.
3-6 Huron is going to be in the postseason.
Wow. Interesting.
So I am curious how the Paulding Panthers are going to stack up in the Region 22 playoffs, Lynn.
Yeah, them and Archbold would be an interesting bout if it got to that.
Boy, I think it would. You have a lot of really talented skill guys on the field in that one.
Right. Edgerton right now is 8th in Region 26, Division 7 there as far as the GMC goes. Where are their percentages at for Coach Flegel and crew?
Yep. Highest probability would be right around that 9 slot, Lynn. Really between 6 and 9, 21%, 6 seed, 17% 7, 16% 8, 44% 9 seed for Edgerton.
Yeah. Have more clarity on the playoff picture next Saturday at this time as we head into the final week of the regular season.
Exciting time.
Yeah, it is.
Exciting time.
Great weather, great football, and we'll break down Week 10 on our Monday podcast with Maddie Klein of BCSN Sports joining us.
Look forward to it. I'm going to be stewing on that Columbus Grove Bluffton pick this week.
Are you?
I'm going to be stewing. Part of me's thinking Grove, and then the minute I pick Grove, this is Bluffton's year. I'm going to have to do some calculations.
Get in the lab this weekend, Coach. some big ones around the area coming up.
Boy.
Bath Walpock, that'll
Ooh.
be a great one too.
Ooh, Bath Walpock.
Archibald Liberty Center for the NWL title.
Yep, it's going to be fun, and the weather's finally going to fit it.
Yeah, well, yes,
gonna
yeah,
fit.
looking forward to the nice autumn weather that we're going to get.
Absolutely.
Have a great weekend, folks. Thank you for tuning in, and we will talk to you again on Monday night.
Thank you, guys.
Yep, thank you. Have a great weekend, everybody.